Welcome, I am Thomas Porteus and you're watching The World Report. Let's take a look at the top headlines this hour. US President Joe Biden says the New Orleans attack suspect hid 2 bombs before carrying out the car-ramming attack. Detonators have been found as CCTV is released showing Shamsuddin Jabbar an hour before the attack. Elite soldier Matthew Livelsberger shot himself before the Cybertruck explosion outside of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. The active Green Beret serviceman was on leave at the time of the attack, which injured several people. As strikes continue to hit the Gaza Strip, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has sent a delegation to resume peace talks in Qatar. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says incoming US President Donald Trump's instability can help end the war with Russia. Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 50 people, including children, across Gaza, targeting both Hamas officers and humanitarian zones in Mawasi. The attacks intensified, worsening the already dire conditions for displaced Palestinians. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has authorized a delegation to continue ceasefire talks in Qatar. Here is a report.
Israeli airstrikes have claimed at least 50 lives in Gaza, including several children. The strikes have targeted Hamas security officers and a humanitarian zone in Mawasi, where hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians have been seeking shelter. Additional strikes have hit areas like Deir al-Balah, Khan Yunis, and Maghazi, with many casualties reported. The continued bombardment has exacerbated the already dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Displaced residents have been living in overcrowded camps with minimal protection from the harsh winter conditions. Hunger remains widespread, with children waiting in long lines for food. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has authorized a delegation from Israel's intelligence and military agencies to continue ceasefire talks in Qatar. These negotiations, which have been ongoing for more than 15 months, have yet to yield an agreement. While Israel's military maintains that it has only targeted Hamas members, Gaza's health ministry has reported civilian casualties without distinguishing between fighters and non-combatants. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Let's now take a look at the latest updates from North America. 2 people have died and 18 others have been injured after a small plane crashed into a commercial building in Southern California. According to the police, 10 people have been taken to the hospital with injuries. Meanwhile, 8 others have been treated at the scene and released. Authorities have not yet disclosed any further details regarding the cause of the crash. A US court has rejected the Biden administration's attempt to restore net neutrality rules. The court ruled that the federal government does not have the authority to regulate internet providers as utilities. This decision represents a significant setback for advocates of an open internet. Freezing weather is set to impact the eastern US in the coming days as the polar vortex moves through the region. Temperatures are expected to stay below average for the southeast and east coast throughout the first half of January. The Gulf of Mexico and Florida may also experience temperature dropping below freezing. President Biden is expected to announce a decision regarding whether he will approve Nippon Steel's $14.9 billion acquisition of US Steel. The president has previously expressed opposition to the deal. He emphasized the importance of US Steel remaining an American-owned and operated company. US Republican leader Mike Johnson is set to confront critics on Friday in a crucial vote in Congress. This vote could either cement his position as one of the nation's top statesmen or push him back to the benches. If he fails, he may fade into political obscurity, having taken the gavel in a 2023 palace coup. The Louisiana conservative is now vying for re-election. He is seeking to retain his position as Speaker of the House of Representatives. A magnitude 4.7 earthquake has struck Lake County, California. The US Geological Survey reported that the quake occurred at approximately 6:35 p.m. Its epicenter was located 2.5 miles northwest of Cobb, near Gaza in Sonoma County. The tremor was felt across several counties in Northern California, including Lake Sonoma, Marin, Napa, and Solano. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is hopeful that US President-elect Donald Trump's unpredictability could help end the war with Russia. Trump claimed he can resolve the nearly 3-year conflict in just 24 hours. However, Ukraine remains cautious, fearing land concessions for peace. Let's take a look at the report.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has expressed hope that US President-elect Donald Trump's unpredictability can help end the war with Russia. Trump, who takes office on 20th January, has said he will end the nearly 3-year conflict in 24 hours, once in power, a claim that has drawn skepticism from Kyiv, which fears it will be forced to give up land for peace.
Я вважаю, що сильний і непередбачуваний. Я би дуже хотів, щоб непередбачуваність президента Трампа стосувалась передусім в бік Російської Федерації. Я вважаю, що він дійсно хоче закінчити війну. Я вважаю, що це правда.
The Ukrainian leader has sought to build bridges with Trump and his team since November's election amid fears the Republican could slow vital US military aid or halt it entirely. Zelenskyy said that Trump could be decisive in the war.
Трамп може бути вирішальним. І я думаю, для нас це найголовніше, що він, його якості, вони такі є. Він спроможний бути вирішальним в цій війні. Він може дійсно зупинити Путіна або
Zelenskyy has said that achieving a just peace for Ukraine would mean receiving solid security guarantees from its allies, joining the EU and receiving an invitation to join the NATO alliance, a notion rejected by Moscow. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Now let's take a look at some news updates from the Indo-Pacific region. China is dealing with an outbreak of the human metapneumovirus, also known as HMPV. This comes 5 years after the outbreak of COVID-19. As per several reports, the virus is spreading rapidly and the hospitals are overwhelmed. Health officials are closely monitoring the situation as the virus spreads. Taiwanese government has condemned China's New Year video, according to Free Radio Asia. The video sought to assert Chinese dominance over Taiwan. Chinese President Xi Jinping was also featured in the video. He said no one can stop the reunification of Taiwan. In response, Taiwan's foreign minister termed the whole video as psychological warfare. He claimed the video was designed to create illusion to intimidate Taiwan. India and Bangladesh announced that they will start releasing fishermen in each other's custody. This move comes amidst strain in their bilateral ties. As per the reports, Bangladesh will hand over 95 Indian fishermen to Indian authorities on the 5th of January. India said it would release 90 Bangladeshi fishermen to Bangladesh authorities on the same day. Bangladesh has introduced new textbooks for primary and secondary school students. The books state that Ziaur Rahman declared the country's independence in 1971. It replaces the previous ones, crediting Sheikh Mujibur Rahman with declaration. The textbooks also removed the title Father of the Nation from Mujibur Rahman. A 21-year-old Indian man has found himself behind bars in Pakistan due to a romantic relationship with a Pakistani girl. The man, identified as Badal Babu, was arrested on the 28th of December by Pakistani authorities. He was arrested due to illegally crossing the Indo-Pak border. The family of Babu has appealed to the Indian government, particularly to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to negotiate with Pakistan for Babu's release. A submarine drone suspected to be from China was recovered in the waters off the central Philippines. 3 fishermen found the drone on Monday around 6 miles off the coast of San Pascual. The yellow drone, marked HY-119, was found floating at sea before being turned over to the authorities. The police listed potential national security implications as one significance of its recovery. "48 hours have passed since the attack that shook the Louisiana city of New Orleans. The now deceased attacker killed 15 people in a situation that is still developing as investigators probe. Suspect Shamsud-Din Jabbar is believed to have been radicalized as homemade bombs were found at his house and on Bourbon Street by the FBI. Let's have a look at the report.
The investigation into the New Orleans attack has made new revelations. Official reports suggest that the truck ramming suspect Shamsud-Din Jabbar planted 2 homemade bombs on the streets of the bustling French Quarter.
FBI bomb technicians also recovered 2 IEDs in coolers, one from the cross-section of Bourbon and Orleans Street, and the second at an intersection approximately 2 blocks away. There were multiple reports of other devices. Those reports turned out to be misinformation or not actual functioning devices. Those are the only 2 devices that we've been able to recover that were functional. Both devices were rendered safe on scene. We did obtain surveillance footage showing Jabbar placing the devices where they were found.
The FBI has also revealed that the New Orleans truck ramming attacker had published videos proclaiming support for the Islamic State group. As per reports, Jabbar drove from Houston to New Orleans on the evening of the 31st, and he posted several videos to an online platform proclaiming his support for ISIS. The FBI has said that in one video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the war between the believers and the disbelievers. Amid the ongoing investigation, the FBI has dismissed the speculations of the involvement of others in the attack. There are also speculations over links between the New Orleans attacks and the Las Vegas explosion outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas, which has now been rubbished by the FBI. Meanwhile, tears and makeshift memorials as Bourbon Street reopens after the terror nightmare. However, New Orleans continues to be on high alert. There's increased security seen ahead of Sugar Bowl football game. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Now let's take a look at some news updates from Europe. Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico has threatened to cut financial support for more than 130,000 Ukrainian refugees. This comes as a dispute with Ukraine over Russian gas supplies escalates. On the 1st of January, Kiev shut off a pipeline that for decades was used to supply Central Europe with Russian natural gas. Fico described Kiev's move as sabotage. He said he would propose halting electricity exports to Ukraine. Additionally, he proposed to sharply reduce financial support for Ukrainians who have found shelter in Slovakia. Germany's foreign minister said that the country wants to help Syria. He said wants Syria to return to being a functioning state with full control over its territory. She will join her French counterpart Jean-Noël Barrot in Damascus for talks on behalf of the European Union with Ahmed al-Shara. She said the visit was a clear signal to Damascus of the possibility of a new relationship. This will bolster ties between Syria and Germany and Europe more broadly. Italy's foreign ministry summoned the Iranian ambassador on Thursday. This was to demand the immediate release of reporter Cecilia Sala. She was seized in Tehran on December the 19th while working under a regular journalistic visa. The ministry said it had relayed serious concern over Sala's detention. The Iranian embassy in Rome said Sala was being given all the humanitarian care necessary. It also, for the first time, linked her case to that of an Iranian national who was arrested last month in Milan. A Finnish court denied a request for the release of an oil tanker. Police suspected it of damaging an undersea power line and 4 telecommunications cables in the Baltic Sea last week. Finland, on December the 26th, seized the Eagle S tanker carrying Russian oil. A lawyer representing the owner of the tanker had sought the release of the vessel and crew. Finnish lawyers said the company now planned to file a new motion for the vessel's release. The names of around 425,000 people suspected of collaborating with the Nazis have been published online for the first time. This are from the time of the German occupation of the Netherlands. The names represent individuals who were investigated through a special legal system. Of them, more than 150,000 of them face some form of punishment. The full records of these investigations were previously only accessible by visiting the Dutch National Archives in The Hague. The smallest of the three centrist parties in Austria's coalition talks, the Liberal NewsX, is quitting the talks. This throws into disarray the negotiations that have excluded the far-right Freedom Party. NEO's leader said that the talks with the Conservative People's Party and Social Democrats have lacked ambition and made insufficient progress. The person who died when a Tesla Cybertruck exploded in Las Vegas has been identified. The driver, Matthew Livelsberger, served as a Green Beret. Authorities confirmed after a DNA test as the body was mostly burned. He is believed to have shot himself before the vehicle detonated. Here's more from the investigation.
On Thursday, a Tesla Cybertruck packed with explosives burst into flames outside the hotel in Las Vegas, partly owned by Trump. The driver and lone occupant of the Tesla Cybertruck, who died in the blast, has been identified as Matthew Livelsberger from Colorado Springs. Officials said tattoos gave a strong indication the body was his and were waiting for DNA tests to confirm this. The FBI also found his military ID in the vehicle. Clark County Sheriff Kevin McMahill said he is believed to have shot himself before detonation. The body was burned beyond recognition, officials added.
We believe the question is, was the gunshot self-inflicted? And we do believe it was, since he was the only person in the vehicle, and it occurred immediately prior to the vehicle blowing up.
As per the officials, he was a highly decorated US Army Green Beret who was deployed twice to Afghanistan. He was awarded 2 Bronze Stars, including one with a Valor Device for Courage Under Fire, a Combat Infantry Badge, and an Army Commendation Medal with Valor. Officials said Livelsberger may have got into a fight with his wife about relationship issues shortly before he rented the Tesla and bought the guns. Despite it all, the motivation for the blast still remains unknown.
So as I mentioned, the motivation at this point is unknown. We are, as I mentioned earlier, following investigative leads both domestically and internationally as well. And so that includes search warrants and witness interviews, collecting forensic information, and basically trying to compile the facts.
Colorado Springs addresses connected to Livelsberger were staked out and later raided by FBI agents. The sheriff said that Tesla owner Elon Musk has also been helping with the investigation. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Now let's take a look at the latest news updates from South America. Most of Puerto Rico's power was restored since the New Year's Eve blackouts that left a majority of the island in the dark. According to Luma Energy, around 99% of the island now has energy once again. Tuesday morning, almost the entire island lost power after rolling blackout. Around 1.2 million consumers were spending New Year's Eve without electricity. Venezuela's government has offered 100,000 US dollars reward. The amount is announced for information leading to the arrest of the opposition's exiled president candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez. He fled the country in September and was granted political asylum in Spain. Gonzalez had vowed to return to Venezuela before President Maduro's inauguration. He also accused the government of rigging the vote. Venezuelan opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez Urata is traveling to Buenos Aires, reports say. He still claims to win the presidential election in July. According to several reports, he is traveling from Argentina to Madrid. Brazil has started examining the black box recorders from Brazilian-made jetliner that crashed in Kazakhstan. The accident killed 38 out of 67 passengers on board. The Brazilian Air Force said that the data came from recorders will be analysed as soon as possible. Argentina's government said that it had filed a complaint with the International Criminal Court against Venezuela. They had complained for detaining a member of Argentinian security forces. They termed it as forced disappearance. The tensions between these two countries have arisen since Javier Milei, a far-right libertarian, came into power in late 2023. Argentina's state airline is slamming down for a potential sale. It has reduced 13% of its staff, according to various reports. The company is cutting money, losing domestic routes, and even removing snacks available to passengers. These moves are being considered as attempts to trim the airline's burden on the state and lure private investment. Germany and France break new ground in Syria. Their foreign ministers meet de facto leader Ahmad al-Shama in Damascus. It's the first time the EU visits since rebels seized the city. A message of peace and cautious optimism is sent. Now let's take a look at the report.
German-French foreign ministers urge peaceful transition in Syria during EU meeting with Delaware facto leader Ahmed al-Sharara in Damascus. Germany's Annalena Baerbock and France's Jean-Noël Barrot are the first ministers from the EU to visit Syria since rebels seized control of Damascus on December 8 and forced President Bashar al-Assad to flee after more than 13 years of civil war, ending his family's decades-long rule.
Il y a un peu moins d'un mois, un nouvel espoir s'est levé grâce à la mobilisation des Syriennes et des Syriens. L'espoir d'une Syrie souveraine, stable et apaisée, l'espoir que les aspirations des Syriennes et des Syriens puissent se concrétiser. C'est un espoir réel, mais c'est un espoir fragile.
Their trip is meant to send a message of cautious optimism to the Islamist rebels led by Sharara's Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, showing an openness to acknowledging the new rulers while also urging moderation and respect for minorities' rights. The French and German ministers met Sharara in the Damascus People's Palace, but so far no details of their talks have been made public. Bureau Report, NewsX.
We will now take a look at some news updates from the world of business. Former Deputy Prime Minister Sir Nick Clegg has announced that he will step down from his current role as President of Global Affairs at Meta. This decision marks the end of his leadership in the position that he held for several years. In a post on Facebook, Sir Nick, who has been with the company for nearly 7 years, revealed that he is leaving. He is the current Deputy Republican, Joel Kaplan. He has been named as his successor. US electric vehicle maker Tesla has said that its China sales have risen by 8.8% to a record high of more than 657,000 cars in 2024. This marks a strong performance in a competitive market, even in a year when its annual global deliveries have fallen for the first time. Despite this decline, the company has managed to maintain its position and continue delivering solid results. The US Surgeon General has stated that alcoholic drinks should carry a warning about cancer risks on their labels. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy has emphasized that alcohol consumption is linked to an increased risk of at least 7 types of cancer. These include breast, colon, and liver cancer. However, most US consumers remain unaware of these risks. Turkey's inflation rate has eased for the 7th consecutive month in December. Consumer prices rose by 44.3% year-on-year in December, down from 47.1% in November. This data was reported by the Turkish Statistical Institute. As a result of an anti-inflation program launched 18 months ago, Turkey's annual inflation rate has dropped from a peak of 75.4% in May. South Korea's Hyundai Motors and affiliate Kia aim to grow their combined global sales by 2% to 7.39 million vehicles in 2025. This follows a dip in 2024 sales, during which they missed their targets. The automakers, which together rank third in global vehicle sales, sold 7.23 million vehicles in 2024. This was a 1% slip from 2023, as solid US sales were offset by sluggish demand in Europe and their home market. And that is all we have time for. Thank you for watching. We'll be back on NewsX World with more international news updates.